guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to do a tag. So before I start on this tag, yes, I'm still decorated for Halloween. The only excuse I can offer is A, I'm pre-filming this, so it's not as bad as you think, and B, by the time you watch this video, they will be gone. I had to wait till a weekend to undecorate. So yes, I'm still decorated for Halloween, but I swear it's not as bad as it seems. Besides that though, today I am here to do a tag. It is the BookTube About Me tag. It was created by Harriet Rosie, and I was not tagged to do it, but I'm a narcissist? I don't really know. Just seemed like fun questions to ask. Harriet Rosie, by the way, in case you don't know, is the person who did the graphics for the YA BookTube Awards, so you should go follow her, and you should remember the YA BookTube Awards exist. You can go vote for your favorite YA books of 2016, links in the description. Go vote, and then you can enter and be entered to win like 10 different giveaways. So make sure to go follow all the links in the description and remember the YA BookTube Awards. But anyway, I am here to do the BookTube About Me tag. This tag just involves 10 questions that are questions about me that I'm gonna answer. So I hope people are interested. I always like to know more about people when I watch their channels. I'm always interested to know what's going on in their lives. So hopefully you also feel that. Anyway, let's just get into it. I have 10 questions to cover, so let's begin. So the first question is, what do you study / what is your job? I have both of these things, so I can tell you a little bit about that. Currently, I am a senior in college. I am studying to get a degree in English with a minor in women's and gender studies. In English, my concentration, that's what we have at my university, I don't know how that works at other universities, but my concentration is writing and communications, so that's what I'm working on. And women's and gender studies minor just came about because I actually had no idea what my minor was going to be. I don't even remember now what was the tipping point, but I took some class that was about women's studies, or that I had to write a feminist paper, and I was like, oh, this is something that I'm super duper interested in, and it was a really good choice because I really enjoy women's and gender studies, so it was a good call for me. As far as what I do for a job, I don't have a job, I have an internship. It's the too often mentioned internship of this channel. Basically, I've been doing an internship for a couple of months. I work in New York City at a literary agency, and basically my job is reading queries and reading manuscripts and other office work besides that, but I do a lot of reading mostly, and I talk to agents and such. The agents in my office, I don't get to talk to anyone fancy. I get to send a couple of really cool authors emails every now and then, but that's just emails about how much money their book has made recently. That's kind of it. But the agency is really cool. It represents a lot of authors whose books I've read, so I really enjoy my internship, and that's what I do, and that's where I work. Question 2 is, what is your favorite social media channel? And I believe Harriet said that this was just what's your favorite form of social media? What are you on the most? And my answer for this is probably Instagram. I don't know. I feel like I use a lot of different forms of social media, but I'm really invested in Instagram. I take a lot of pictures. I've gotten more invested in it over time. I think it's fun to see what everyone else is doing. Plus with the whole new Instagram stories thing, I think you can get to know people more. I was never a very avid Snapchat user, so I'm kind of enjoying the fact that there are Instagram stories now. So yeah, I like Instagram. Question 3 is, if you had another channel, what would that channel be about? This was really hard for me because I was trying to decide what it was, and I kind of came to the decision that it would just be sort of lifestyle. I feel like I would just be sort of a vlogger in general with a little bit of music, because that is kind of what I started this channel as. Most of those videos are gone, so if you search too deep you will not find too many. But I started as a music channel when I was first teaching myself how to play a couple of instruments, but I would probably do that, and then just general life videos. That's what is the most interesting to me, and also I think that those videos can encompass a lot of other things. So that really intrigues me, but yeah, if I had another channel, which I don't think I would, I think that this channel might just eventually get a couple more videos that aren't specifically book focused. It would be about that kind of stuff. Question 4 is, do you play any instruments? And clearly I do, considering my last answer to that question. I play the guitar and I play the ukulele. I taught myself how to play both of them, so I'm in no way a fancy guitar or ukulele player, but I've played both of them for quite a few years now, so I've gotten better, I guess. When I was a kid, my dad's a drummer, so when I was a kid, I was learning how to play the drums, but I did not ever succeed very much at that. And I was also in piano lessons for a number of years. I've forgotten most of those lessons, but I can still plink out chords if you give me a piano. So yeah, mainly it's just ukulele and guitar. I think I'm better at the ukulele than I am at the guitar, but that's because the ukulele is easier than the guitar. So yeah, that was long-winded. Ukulele and guitar. Question number 5 is, what hobbies do you have other than reading? I have a variety of hobbies besides reading, shockingly, if that shocks you. I don't know if this counts as hobbies, but I'm very invested in television. It's weird because reading's a hobby, so I guess watching TV should count as a hobby. I'm overly invested in it. Not at this current point in time because I don't have the time, but I love it. Music is obviously another hobby. I play music, but I also on occasion write music. I have an original song on this channel that I posted a couple of months ago, so every now and then I write music. And then I'm also a writer, sort of. I've been writing my whole life, but I'm like chronically incapable of ever finishing anything I start, so I have like way too many unfinished projects laying around, but I'm writing fairly constantly at any given point. It just never gets finished. Question 6 is, what are your favorite television shows? I actually did a whole video for that. I did a top 10 favorite television shows video like last month that you can go and watch, and I listed all of those. So yeah, but if you wanted to know some of the shows that I did not list in that video, but that I also love, these are not my favorites. They're just other shows I'm super passionate about. I made a list. Some of my other favorite television shows include Community, oh my god, Hannibal, Psych, The West Wing, Chuck, Orange is the New Black, Downton Abbey, Scooby-Doo, seriously, Bewitched. I really like Transparent. I watch a lot of television. Yeah, but you can go and watch that video, and I mentioned my top 10 favorite shows, and then a couple runners-up, which were like Game of Thrones, Jessica Jones. Yeah. Those are my favorite shows. I love them all. So question 7 is, what got you into reading? And I think that getting really invested into reading came in stages for me. First of all, I was raised by people who really love to read. My mom and my grandmother adored reading, and so I learned how to read when I was very, very young, and I was constantly surrounded by books, so that was a very big motivating factor. I think that after that and all the books I read with my mom, my next phase would have been when I got into A Series of Unfortunate Events. That was the first series that I read through. That was the first series where I knew when a new book was coming out, and I would write down the release date, and I'd make my mom take me to the store to buy new books on the release date. And then after that, I think I would say it was Harry Potter. Obviously, that was a big step for a lot of us in terms of reading. That got me much more invested, and it got me talking to other readers. The phase after that was probably Twilight. Again, I think that one really encompassed me learning to talk to other people about what I was currently reading and learning to love reading because it created a shared community. That's what Twilight offered me. And then I would say that the last phase of getting like into reading in the way that I am now was probably in high school when I found The Hunger Games. Like, I hadn't been reading as much, or I hadn't been reading as many popular books, and then I found The Hunger Games, and that's what kind of spurred me on to create my blog and eventually YouTube. So those are all my phases. That was another long-winded answer. Question 8 is, name your least favorite and most favorite genres. I think my favorite genres are fantasy, mainly YA fantasy, but you know, I've been known to extend outwards past that, and this isn't a genre, but basically if your book includes queer characters, I'm there for it. It's a favorite of mine. And then I would say that my least favorite genre is historical fiction. I see the value in historical fiction. I totally understand why people like it, but I fall asleep. Like, without fail, historical fiction puts me to sleep. Even if it's really, really wonderful, and at the end I'm like, wow, that was well written. I just can't. I also don't very frequently read science fiction. It just doesn't appeal to me. Like, again, I completely understand people who like science fiction, but it just doesn't appeal to me a lot of the time. Question 9 is, what are some books that define your childhood? I had a lot of books that define my childhood. I spent a lot of time, like I said, with my mom and my grandmother reading. They read a lot to me. The first one that's very important to me is Nancy Drew. My grandmother read most of the Nancy Drew books to me, which is, you know, inspired my love of mystery to this day. Still very passionate about Nancy Drew. But then some of the early literary ladies that shaped me, I really loved Ella Enchanted and A Wrinkle in Time. Those were pretty formative for me in terms of like female main characters. Besides that, A Series of Unfortunate Events was a big one, and then of course the Chronicles of Narnia was big in getting me into fantasy. And then one of my favorite books when I was younger is The Lost Prince by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Frances Hodgson Burnett wrote Little Princess and The Secret Garden, but A Lost Prince was a book that I read with my mom and I absolutely fell in love with and read over and over and over again. Oh, and a book called Serpentide by K.L. Fogg. That was like my favorite for years, even though I know it must be terrible. I loved it. So the final question, question 10, is tell us an interesting fact about yourself. These questions are so hard because I never know what's interesting. Like, they're facts about me, so I don't really think of them as interesting facts. So I just wrote down like 3 quick things about myself that I thought I would list off really fast. So the first thing that many people might not know about me, maybe you do, is that I am 4 foot 11 inches tall. I'm not even 5 feet tall. I'm tiny, tiny, tiny. Another fact about me is that I absolutely love audio commentaries on movies and television shows. I obsess over them, and like, if it's my favorite movie, I've seen the audio commentary and I've possibly watched it through more than once with the audio commentary. So there's a fun fact. And the other fact about me is that I guess I was homeschooled from 1st grade through 5th grade. And then in 6th and 7th, I was in a private school, so I didn't go to a public school until I was in 8th grade. And I stayed in public school from 8th grade until I graduated, but, you know, early life. I was homeschooled for a good portion of the time. So yeah, I hope that you found all of those facts about me interesting. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Would you let me know in comments below what were some of the books that shaped you as like a childhood reader if you read a lot when you were a kid? I always think that's interesting. I think that finding out what someone read when they were a kid says a lot about the kind of reader they are now and the kind of person they became. So yeah, if you have books that were really important to you as a child, leave those below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!